I just drove 8 hours for a first date. I'm gonna say it again. I just drove 8 fucking hours for a first date. That was supposed to happen at 8:30 p.m. this evening. Guess what time it is? 11:04 p.m. I am stuck in the middle of fucking nowhere. I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm this close to putting this girl on blast right now. I am so close to putting her on blast. Let me tell you what happened. I get a DM on Instagram from this crazy lady, and she says, "How spicy do you like to eat your chicken tikka masala? I would love to know." And at first when I read that, I thought, wow, how dare this lady assume that I just eat chicken tikka masala just because I'm Indian. So I responded, "Medium, lady." What I actually said was, I guess you'll just have to find out in person, because I thought this crazy lady was very cute. Now, in the meantime, while we're exchanging messages, I'm doing my Sherlock Holmes research to figure out where this lady fucking lived. So I asked this lady, let's call her Sophie. I said, "Hey, lady, Sophie, where are you from? I need to know so that, this can maybe work out or maybe not. I don't know." He said, "Sorry, I don't really feel comfortable telling you that just yet. I would love to get to know you a little more." I said, "Fine, sounds good, not a problem. Okay, next topic of conversation." We're DMing back and forth for a few days, just asking generic questions like, "How are you? How was your week? Do you have any pets? What do you do for work? What is your favorite plant called?" Next day, I came across a photo that she had posted on Instagram. One with her friends. That was them going out, having a good time. I see the location in the photo, and it turns out that is 30 minutes away from where I am. Now, I sent her a message. I'm like, "Hey, that's a cool spot. I've been there before. Have you been to this bar down the street from it?" She said, "No, I haven't. Is it fun?" I said, "How about I take your number and I'll take you out there? Sound good?" She sends me her number and we get to texting. Now, things are great. They're wonderful. We're texting. We're FaceTiming. She was real. She's very real. You must be thinking, "Zohar, why are you saying she's real like it's a surprise?" Well, if you know anything about my dating history, it's just a protocol I have to follow, because you never fucking know. As I'm getting to know Sophie, I'm asking questions about her life. She's also doing the same for me. And the weekend is coming around. So I'm like, "Hey, lady, would you like to grab a drink sometime?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, this weekend's kind of busy. I'm going to be visiting friends and family, so it's going to be kind of a chaotic weekend." I said, "No worry, lady. That's fine. It's not like I didn't want to grab drinks anyway and that we're in this predicament together." So I said, "All good. No worries. We'll find another time." It's another week of back and forth conversation. "How was your day? What are you doing this week? What is the highlight of your day? Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? Do you like iguanas? Do you like caterpillars? Do you like armadillos?" Small talk. She then starts to open up about her struggle with anxiety, which is something that is very tough to manage. And I prioritize mental health and take that very seriously. And she said, "Yeah, because due to my anxiety, I can't really go anywhere. I can't drive. And it's very tough on my schedule." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, I'm more than happy to pick you up and take you on our dates." And she said, "No, it's okay. No worries. I'll just Uber. It's okay. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "No, I insist, lady." So the next weekend comes around and I said, "Hey, lady, how about we grab drinks at that bar? Saturday night, 8:30. See you there." She said, "I'm back home now." I said, "Where is home, lady?" She said, "Oh, it is 8 hours away from where I posted that photo." I'm like, oh my fucking goodness. Now, here's the real predicament. I could, one, just say that, "Hey, it was great meeting you, but I feel like the distance is going to be kind of a lot to deal with." Or I could fucking drive 8 fucking hours to see this lady and things could work out. It would be great. So I texted her and I was like, how would you feel about me driving down for our first date? She was like, I would love that. I booked my accommodation scheduled for tonight, and I texted Sophie. I said, hey, I'm about to leave. And she said, great, see you in 8 hours. And I said, great, sounds good, lady. And then I asked, like, hey, at any point during the drive, do you mind if I call you just to talk and check in and stuff? She's like, yeah, of course. So we're talking about things here and there, and then she's asking me like, oh, what are your views right now as you're driving? And I'm like, I see lots of fucking trees, lots of fucking grass, and lots of fucking cows. Not much else to see. Then said, is there any chance that we can meet directly at the bar? I'll meet you there. I'll Uber over. I think my roommates are going to be home tonight. I was like, oh, I didn't know you had roommates. Like, how many do you have? She's like, oh, just 2. You know, they're just usually always home and are pretty nosy of what I do in my life. And I prefer not to just have you be around that, if that's okay. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all good. No worries. After that was settled, she does a big sigh, like almost like stressed in a way. I said, is everything okay? Are you good? She's like, yeah, I'm just like thinking, what if you don't like me when we meet for the first time? I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm excited to see you. That's why I'm making this fucking drive, lady. I could sense that she was feeling anxious about us meeting for the first time. She was consistently asking me questions, seeking validation, which I completely understand. But it felt like maybe it wasn't the right time for me to be driving 8 hours to come see her for the first time. So then I asked her, I was like, if it's making you anxious, like, I really don't mind picking you up from your house, if that's okay. And she said, no, I don't want my family to see you. I said, your family? I thought you said you lived with fucking roommates, you fucking liar! It's like, I know, I'm sorry, I just didn't want you to think that I was a loser for, like, living at home with my family at our age. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you living at home with your family at our age. Like, I understand that, but, like, having to lie about that is not okay. Like, if that's something that you lie about, something so trivial, I feel like, then it makes me think that you can lie about almost anything. Like, it doesn't make sense. At this point, I have about 20 minutes left in my drive. Like, I'm literally almost here. And she goes, yeah, I just feel like my family is just so strict on me with finding the right person for me. They want the best for me, and they don't want me to date outside my race. She's not Indian, so I can guarantee that you can probably figure out how this conversation went. She told me that, and I said, then why the fuck am I making this drive? Am I dating your family? She said, I just have this level of respect for my family and my elders and just want to honor their wishes and what they want, the best for me. I said, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. It's better that you told me this now after I drove 8 fucking hours for me to come see you. So thank you very much, lady. Now I'm going to go find somewhere to grab a cheeseburger, stuff my face, and go to bed.
I just got fired from one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, and I've literally only been there a month. The reason that I got fired doesn't even make sense. So I go in to have a little meeting, and they basically said how I wasn't interacting with the customers enough. Like, they were watching the cameras, and they want someone who interacts with the customers enough. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, I understand. I can do more. I feel like that's an easy fix. And they're like, I just feel like we should part ways. I was kind of like shocked, kind of expected it a little bit because I had to have a meeting, but I thought they were going to give like a warning or something. It's a boutique. It's not a corporate office. Like, I wasn't expecting to be fired on the spot, I guess, because I'm open to critique. Like, yes, I want to do my best. It's a sales job as well, so I want to learn more about that. I loved the job. I loved all the girls that I met. I really thought I was going to be here for a while, which it kind of sucks. They basically said we should part ways, and I was like, I wish I would have known this like a few shifts ago, because I feel like that's an easy fix. And I feel like I'm a great candidate for the job. I can just go interact with customers more. Like, I can do that. That's okay. Fully capable of that. And especially the days I've been working are really slow. So when customers do come in, like, I love it. Like, that's the highlight of the working day. And it's just frustrating because she said that not everyone is a people person. And sometimes it's hard for people to get over that hump to go like talk to people. And that was like frustrating to hear, just because that's not me. I used to be socially awkward, but now I've never felt more confident in myself and talking to people. And I know for a fact that I'm good at making connections. If you know me, and you know that the reasoning just doesn't make sense. And it was funny because every question I asked them, they kind of responded with the same thing. Even said how one of the other girls said I was like doing really good. Like that was their answer to one of my questions, and they were trying to use that as a justification to why they're letting me go. It just didn't all make sense. And I wasn't going to sit there and like argue. That's not who I am. I was very calm because obviously they had made up their decision already. And why would I want to stay somewhere where they don't feel as confident in me as I do in myself? Obviously it wasn't meant to be. Just one of like those life's unfair moments because it sucks because I loved that job. I loved the girls. I've maybe been there a month. They gave me feedback and they didn't even give me a chance to show them that I can do better. That's what bothers me because it's like that's an easy fix for me. I wasn't aware I was doing anything wrong in the first place. I go in, it's not really explained in a good way, and I'm fired. It just doesn't make sense.
The single moms are pissed. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, they're annoyed over this girl named Morgan, also known as the girl who started Random Man in Atlanta. Let me fill you in. So basically last year, right, this girl named Morgan, she's 23 years old. She started this TikTok page how she got pregnant by this dude, deadbeat guy. Basically, he used her, cheated on her, but you know, they still had a daughter to take care of. She built her entire platform, basically bashing this dude, came up with an amazing catchphrase, Random Man in Atlanta. It took the country by storm. You know what made her likable is that she was a single mom. She was resilient. And one thing about single moms, they are resilient women. They are taking care of their children. They're providing. They're doing everything. And you know, she's out here saying he's a bum, he's a bum. And then it turns out there's actually 7 baby mamas like intertwined in this man's story. Finds out she's like the 6th woman that this bum ass dude got pregnant. And you know, all these women are coming together, sharing their stories. Baby daddy, who's the bum, is starting to see, oh, she's getting all this clout, she's getting famous, blah blah blah. He starts pitching in, but like nobody want to listen to him, right? Remember, this was all last year, and then 2 days ago she comes back after a little bit of hiatus, not posting on TikTok, and she's like, sorry, I've been gone, I've actually been seeing him, decided to co-parent, I'm not gonna refer to him as the random man from Atlanta anymore. We both want what's best for our daughter, but all of you guys who are online should stop bashing him too. This is not how that works. So all the single moms and all the women in the comments were pissed because you know she's 23. Like when I was 23, my brain barely functioned too. People are warning her, you know, people are just saying like, all right, we see what's happening here, let's just sit back, because clearly she's not listening to anyone. She's gonna have to figure it out on her own. People are saying he's coming around because, you know, she got the clout, she started making some money. Also, her car broke down. She got fired from her job. So she's like in a vulnerable state, right? And like he's taking advantage. People are saying, oh, like it's tax season. It's after the holidays. First of all, how many times do we have tax season? Because I'm so annoyed that my taxes can fund a freaking genocide, but I don't get to keep my money. Whatever, I freaking hate them. But anyways, she's basically now like, forget Random Man in Atlanta, let me do me, respect who I am. And girl, I'm sorry to tell you, nobody will. They're gonna keep bringing this up because you built your platform off of it. So you can't blame all the single moms that are trying to help you out and you just ignore them, okay?
I'm going to talk about the 2009 VMAs, which if you don't recall was the night that Kanye West waddled his toddler-built self on the stage, ripped the microphone out of the queen, the mother of the bitch's hands herself, Taylor Swift, and essentially told her she did not deserve her flowers. Now, a lot of people still debate the ins and outs of this night, the ethics of the whole situation, how it should have been handled, who really should have won, but I don't see a lot of people really addressing the actual elephant in the room and who the real overall victim of this situation was, who was obviously me. Now, on my first day of 4th grade, I was sitting next to my friend Rhiannon in class. We were shooting the shit, talking about Taylor Swift as we did. And let's just get this out of the way right now. There is this historical revisionist misconception, often peddled by Kanye West himself, that Taylor Swift was not already that famous before he inserted himself into business that didn't concern him. Not only was Taylor Swift quintessentially that girl of the moment, Taylor Swift had already kind of been that girl for a minute. This girl was already a classroom staple. She was recess discourse in a routine arcane manner going as far as back as 2nd grade. I really don't know what the fuck he was trying to get at there. So Rhiannon informs me that Taylor Swift was nominated for a Video Music Award, and that if she won said award, she would be the first country music artist to ever do such, and obviously wanting to be a part of history, I asked where I cast my vote at. She wrote the URL down on a little sticky note. The only problem was that I did not have access to the internet. At this time, I was living in a foster home with this lady named Judy. She did not give me access to the dial-up. My only option to access the internet was to go to my grandmother's house. So the moment I got home, I ran to the phone, I cut out the middleman entirely. I called my grandmother myself and I said, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna call Judy and say it was your idea, you're picking me up Saturday morning, and I didn't sugarcoat it either. I said, we're not playing fucking charades, we're not hanging out in the living room, going swimming, none of that itty bitty bullshit. I have business to take care of and I need that computer unoccupied. I show up Saturday morning and I say hi to my siblings who live there. Hey everybody, how you doing? I go straight to the computer. I make an account, but I realize that the MTV website is only letting me vote so many times on one account. So what I do for about 8 hours that day is make upwards of probably like 50 fucking email accounts, and I'm just using them, never logging into them again, so that I can keep voting Taylor Swift to win this goddamn VMA. Now let me just tell y'all this. I saw Beyonce's video there. I will take accountability. However, it just didn't resonate with me at that moment in time. Listen, I like Beyonce. I like the I'm a Naughty Girl song. I used to strip to that on the living room table when I was 4 years old. I have no beef with her, right? But that song was just like, the whole thing is like, all the single ladies in the club, put your hands up. Girl, I'm 9 years old. I can't even be in the club. It just wasn't for me. However, Miss Taylor Swift coming out here and saying your girlfriend is a twat flapping, nasty, stank, musty ass hoe, and you should be fucking with me instead because the grass is greener and the cat is wetter, that resonated with me a whole lot more. I like the story. I watched a lot of Jerry Springer growing up, but I digress. And before anybody gets on my case for my decision, if you're really mad Beyonce didn't win that award, let me ask you a question. Did you show up to the polls? Did you cast your ballot? Were you putting in the fucking work like I put in the work? If you didn't, then I suggest you shut your fucking mouth. Because I did what the fuck I had to do to get what the fuck I wanted. Maybe you should take some notes. Now, as you could imagine, the night of the award show, my eyes were glued to the TV, ready to see my efforts vindicated. I wanted to watch that beautiful giraffe woman walk up on stage and collect her things that were rightfully hers, and not just that, but more importantly, rightfully mine. And when they said her name, I leaped for joy. I said, Rhiannon, we did it. I was celebrating, and in the middle of her acceptance speech, I see this little gremlin of a man creeping up behind her. And y'all have to forgive me, I didn't know who the fuck this man was. I'm sure it was just the circles I was running in at the time. My bus DJ was not playing him. Radio Disney was not playing him, so I did not know who the fuck Kanye West was. I thought this was some strange man who just like broke past security and went up on the stage. I was kind of worried about her safety for a moment. And then he takes the microphone from her, and you know what he says? He says, you don't deserve your award, and they should take it away from you. And the crowd starts booing, and I started crying. I busted into tears because I almost felt guilty, like I had put her in this predicament because of my efforts, and it took me a long time to really forgive myself. And let me tell you, I still have not forgiven that fucking man. Kanye West, let me tell you something, motherfucker. You might have think that karma already got its kiss back for you because your wife ran off with the kids and slept with that motherfucker with the 9-inch dick, and all that fucking bullshit sponsors you lost with that $2 billion that you never really had, motherfucker. But let me tell you, when I get your ass, my kiss, oh, it's gonna bite you even motherfucking harder. You don't get to have peace. And I'm done playing fucking nice. There is nothing I do better than revenge, and you're gonna learn that. I already clocked your corpse bride pedo sympathizing ex-girlfriend with the fucked up ass eyebrows. You think I'm not gonna get your ass tenfold? Just you wait, motherfucker. You don't get to have peace. You don't get to rest a day in your life until you are 6 feet underneath that ground. And best believe I'm gonna bury you myself and put that moon man on your fucking grave. And if I die first, motherfucker, your house is the first house my ghost is visiting.
Get ready with me while I tell you about how I told my Muslim parents I wanted to get married. Firstly, this has been something I was dreading since I became a young adult and realized that I might be getting married one day. I had been dreading. I was like hoping and praying that I wouldn't find someone myself and that like I would get a rishta through my parents because I did not want this situation to happen. But of course, life never works in your favor like that. Family has always kind of kept to themselves as well and haven't really been a part of like any community, not for any reason. We're just chilling. So I knew deep down that there were no connections for me. Side note, because we didn't have like any connections, I used to get so stressed thinking I would never get married because I'm like, how is that gonna happen? But right when you least expect it, God has something planned for you, and lo and behold, Moed came around the corner. So fast forward to the time has come. We're ready to get married. and now we have to tell our families. I am literally dreading this. The fact that I have to look my parents in the eye and be like, oh, I like this guy and I want to marry him. I can't, like, I couldn't. So I ended up going to my mom first because I always knew I would go to her first. Told her, like, yeah, so I think I maybe want to get married to someone. Props to my mom, because honestly, she was such a real one. Like, she made it so chill, exactly the opposite of what I was dreading and expecting. Don't get me wrong, I hated every minute of it, but she made it as easy as it could be to tell your parents something like that as a brown Muslim girl. So my mom's like, this is great, let's go tell dad. And I'm like, pause. I'm not ready for that yet. Mashallah, my mom and dad's relationship is so cute. So when I said that, she's like, what do you mean? Because that's her bestie, so she wants to tell him like everything immediately. I'm like, I'm gonna be so real right now. I need to be your bestie and you need to not say a word, because I'm just like, I can only do one at a time. Like, this is too much. So I think I put it off for about a week, and bless my mom's heart, like, she held off for a week, but a week is all she could do. And she's like, we gotta tell him. And I was like, hey, but you're talking. We're sitting downstairs. My mom's like, okay, let's go sit with dad and let's go tell him. So we're sitting downstairs, and then my dad's watching TV, and my mom's like, hey, pause it for a sec, like, I gotta tell you something, and Sada's gotta tell you something. Call me Sada at home. And she's like, so Sada actually has someone she wants to marry. I was just like, oh my god, I don't want to be here right now, this is awkward. And my mom's like telling him all the information that she knows, and then my dad's like, okay, let me ask you some questions. He turns to me, and I'm shaking in my boots. At this point I'm crying because I'm like super emotional and like anxious. I couldn't keep it in. And he's like asking me questions about like Muayd, and honestly I was like anxious for nothing, because like, mashallah, my dad is like the biggest sweetie pie, like the biggest sweetheart. He gave me a big hug. He's like, there's no reason to cry, like, this is a beautiful thing, this is your right. He said it in Pashto, but he's like, this is your right, this is your haq, and I'm really happy for you if this is a good person. Like, I definitely made it out to be way more anxiety inducing than it was, because then everything went on business as usual. Here and there he would ask me questions, and like, it was all good, but his biggest concern was like, is he a good Muslim? Now when I look back at it, it's a fond and really endearing memory for me, and I'm really happy of how it turned out. It was just like a really special memory.
Before we get into the story, there's one very important person I want to shout out. My best friend / roommate Siobhan. Without her, I wouldn't be I wouldn't know who 17 were, so that was her. She doesn't like being on camera. Anyways, here is the story of how my parents met 17. So it's September, and my parents, so this was like 4 months ago, my parents are going to Italy for a wine festival, and around the time that they're leaving, we find out that 17 are going to be in Italy. But I obviously didn't tell them not to approach them because they're filming a video, because they're supposed to be in different parts of Italy. Like, 17 were in Rome, my parents are going to be in like northern-ish Italy, and so like, I didn't think that they would run into each other. But it was something I kind of joked about with them. I was like, oh, by the way, 17's in Italy, so who knows? But I was joking. Anyways, until the next day, I'm on a Hinge date, and my parents called me a bunch of times, but the app that they call me on my phone wasn't updated, so I didn't get any notifications that day. I didn't even know they called me a bunch of times until I get home and I'm ready to go tell my sister like how the date went, that I realized my parents called me like 20 times. And I was like, that's weird. My dad must be really bored, because that's what he does when he's bored, is he calls me. And so that's what I'm thinking, is that my dad's really bored. I'm like, hey, I'll get back to you in a minute. I'm gonna call Kayla. And so I go to call my sister, and I get a text from her because she had tried to call me too. And I was like, damn, okay. Everybody wants to talk to me today. And I just get a text that says, did mom and dad really meet 17? And I was like, no, impossible, there's no way. So I go to the family group chat, and in it are a bunch of photos, one of which is Joshua and DK at a stall, and that's the first one I see. I was like, oh my god, like, that is 17, oh my god. And I run out into the living room. Siobhan is sitting over on the couch, and I'm like, my parent, like, I'm showing her my phone, and she's like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, hold up a second, I'm gonna call them back. And I had like 20 missed calls from my dad. And so I call him back. I'm like, Dad, that's 17. Like, you saw 17. He's like, Sienna, I meant 17. I was like, tell me the story. So here is what he tells me. So he is walking around the wine festival with my mom. And my mom knows about 17, but my dad, I see more. And so I talk about, I'm autistic. I talk about what I like all the time. And so what I like at that time still is 17. So I just tell him facts, like make him listen to their songs, blah, 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 because, you know, he's my dad and I like info dumping. Anyways, and so he knew who they were, and he sees them, and he sees like DK. I think it was DK, because DK is my bias no matter what Siobhan says. DK is my bias. And so he sees him and he's like, that's DK. That's the guy from 17 that Sienna loves. I'm gonna go try to talk to him, because, and since he has also told me he was quite drunk at the time, and so maybe his inhibitions were a bit not there. So he goes up and he's like, you're in 17. And DK,
I can only imagine, was very
confused why somebody speaking English was coming up to him. He recognized 17, like he knew basically probably what he was saying, but Joshua was standing next to him. And Joshua responds in English. And my dad's like, you're the one who grew up in LA and moved to South Korea when he was like 18. And Joshua was like,
probably very disturbed.
Probably very disturbed that this like 50-year-old, almost 60-year-old white man was just like, who is this guy who knows every fact about my life? Not every fact, I know some. And Joshua was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, my daughter's a big fan. Can I get a photo? And that's when they're my dad always says their handler, but that's when staff comes up and is just like, oh, I'm sorry, like, we're filming here, you can't really do anything because you can't get a photo, like, blah, blah, blah. My dad's like, okay, it was nice meeting you guys, blah, blah, blah. Then he keeps moving, but he is determined, he is on a mission, he is drunk. So he continues going around the festival, and he sees in another group, in a smaller group, there is Vernon, Dino, and Sungkwan. He doesn't know all their names. He knows Vernon's name, and he called Dino the short one. Anyways, but he goes up to them, and their staff isn't, like, as near or something like that. I don't know exactly. And he goes up to them, and he goes to Vernon, and I don't remember if there's a preamble. I don't know if it's in, I don't remember if it's in the actual video, but this is how he tells it to me, is he goes up and he's like, you guys are in 17. You're the one who moved to South Korea when he was 5 and did it again. And it's the same situation. I'm going to be like, yeah. And before he says, my daughter loves you guys. You're her favorite band, blah, blah, blah. And he asks them to say my name, which is so cute. And he wants to get a photo, but he knows they're not allowed. And so he's like, I know you guys can't get a photo, but is there any way? Because she's not answering the phone. They're calling me, like trying to show it. I'm not answering because obviously, like I said, I was busy. Not knowing I was missing out on this, which is so fun. And they're like, can you say hi, Sienna, or something? Can I get a photo? I know you guys aren't allowed to, whatever. The staff's like, yeah, you can't take a photo. Sorry. Sun Quan goes, don't worry about it. Well, I don't know exactly how he says it, but he takes my dad's phone and he gets the photo, and that's how there's the selfie. And it's so cute, and that's why Sun Quan is now my dad's favorite. He talks about him all the time. He was like, he took the photo, he took my phone, he took the photo, it was so nice. So my dad is now Sun Quan bias, and it's just so cute. But then they're calling me, they're telling me all this to address some things. I was supposed to be there, but it's more complicated than just I couldn't go on the trip because of school. There was other stuff going on. That's just the rundown. The long and short of it is I'm here on a student visa, and so I can't really just miss school to go on vacations, or I get, kicked out of the country, which isn't as fun. So that's that. That's why I can't just drop out of school too. I've seen some people on Twitter being like, I drop out. I'd have to go back to the US, which is not really what I want to do. And other people, what else is everybody saying on Twitter? What should I address?
What have you addressed so far? Sorry, I zoned out.
Thank you. She should just drop out. Oh, that if they were me, they'd kill themselves.
Set yourself on fire. Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah. The week of, it was so funny.